Welcome to today's episode of Speak on Stage. It's a LinkedIn Live as we do every Sunday. And the subject is how to use AI to live a happier and richer life. We're going to have Max on the call. That's my AI. We're also going to have Debbie Gray, who is my friend. And we've got a load of people who want to throw lots of difficult questions and also find a way to move forward on their own and with us. Always challenging, always fascinating. And that's what we do. Welcome to another episode of Speak on Stage.
That sounds great. Good morning, Mark and Zara, the first eager participants.
Yeah, I think it's a juicy subject today. Lots of people want to be part of, which is fantastic. So, a lot of Vikash as well. If you're just joining us, well, first thing we do with every broadcast is just share with everybody that we are doing a live. So, if you don't mind, just repost this post, which I think if you look at where you joined from originally, if you can do that, I don't know if it's easy to do on your phone, just share this to your feed to say that we're going live. And when you do it, you end up with LinkedIn actually pre-preparing a message for you. And then you just have to send it. And it says, we're having a great time. You're not. You should join us. And hopefully from that means that we get a nice group of people. Because once we actually start the broadcast, which we kind of are doing now, but when we start talking about the subjects and stuff, we always end up with the same phenomena. People arrive late. And they get very excited and they say, I want to tell you stuff. And it's like, well, yes, if you arrive nice and early, we can let you. Ian Churchman, my dear friend, who's in Dubai, probably at the airport, and I didn't get a chance to catch up with him because I've been so busy. So hopefully, Ian, you'll get a chance to say hi as well. Very smart guy. And there's a story between myself and Ian, and you're going to say, Dave, did you dabble before you got married? No. What it is 30 years ago when I first arrived in Dubai, I took over a place called Champions. It was a big sports bar in a Marriott hotel. Sorry, the JW Marriott Hotel, which meant it was one of the flagship properties. And the DJ who was there that I took over from was Ian Churchman, known as DJ Mac at the time. And he took me around Dubai for about a week before he disappeared. And we caught up again probably about a year ago, maybe. And we caught up for a coffee, had a good chinwag, and we become really good friends again, with 30 years in between. So we're both old and grey, and we're both sober, with lots of history and stuff to share. So hopefully before he gets onto plane to go back, you'll be able to say hi to us as well. So there you go. An interesting part of today's subjects I want to talk about as well is the importance of having friends. I was listening to a broadcast about that, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit later too. Remind me, Debs, about that. Good to see Sachin joining us too. So if everybody, if you can just share that you're part of this live session, and then that makes it much easier for us to be able to tell people what to do. What also happens, and this is annoying, whenever we get people who step up to say hi, which is fantastic, let's stick to the point. Let's get through as many conversations as we can, help as many people as we can do in the hour or so that we're allowed to broadcast. Don't use it as an excuse to say, I've got an audience, let me tell them how great I am. Nobody cares. Nobody cares how great I am. In fact, they're going to say, Dave, you're not very great. We've heard your podcasts before. So get straight into the point, say what you need to do, and then we get more chance for you to possibly give another follow-up to your conversation, and also get some comments from people to be able to help you on your way. So we're looking for insights, we're looking for clues, we're looking for ideas, and we're looking for people who don't agree, because that's also good as well. Nice to see Ria joining us as well. So Debs, let's go to you first. The subject today is how to use AI to live a happier and richer life. And so far, because of the way the world works, I guess, through capitalism in many places, but certainly because money makes the world go round, everyone's just kind of obsessed with one thing. How can I use AI to get me to make more money? Now, I perfectly understand that, because the conversations then lead into AI is going to steal my job. Other people are going to steal my job. I need to be able to grow. I need to run a business with AI helping me. All the stuff, all the above. But nobody ever really talks about the benefits to make your life happier. And the reason that we brought this in, for anybody who's just joined us and you're thinking, oh, I just wanted to make lots of money, bear with us. There's a reason for saying this. I think the metrics have changed since the pandemic for many people, myself included, that I am not driven by solely the need to make a ton of money and live in a palace. If anything, what the pandemic showed is that the people who have created a life where they live in an ivory tower are also the most susceptible to suicide. and also the most unhappy because you've built this wall around you that nobody can get in. So for the outside, people go, wow, you're amazing. But from the inside, you're going, nobody talks to me anymore. So that's the angle I want to take with this. To live a happier and richer life, what can AI do to make that more fulfilling? Not just to make money, even though money might make that easier for you if you've got lots of challenges, as most people indeed have. Debs, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm trying to narrow all of that down, Dave. So, what exactly did you just ask me? What my thoughts are on the entire AI perspective?
Yeah, the subject, how to use AI to live a happier and richer life. What does that suggest to you when you read the title?
Okay, to me, it's about simplification. It's about simplifying life. So, like yourself, I'm a hustler. I juggle 1,001 projects. It makes it so much easier to have an interactive diary. I have my Google Home apps that pretty much I can give instructions to. They can add things to my diary. And when I'm really lazy, they can turn on and off the lights. So, yeah, it's about keeping things simple and being busy. I have everything wired up to smart plugs. So, turn on this lamp, turn off that lamp, turn on the fan, turn on the electric blanket. Yeah, just it's in business and outside of.
That's really impressive. I haven't heard of anybody doing that outside of what do you call it, Blade Runner. You see, my wife who's not here today, she's not dead, but she's not with us today, has got a me. And so, Dave, can you? Well, it's not often can you. It's can you turn on lights? Okay. And so I do stuff and turn the lecky down and all the rest of it. So that's my job more than anything. I'd love to know people's thoughts on this as well, by the way. If you'd like to jump on with a comment, then you're always very welcome to do so. On your app, you should be able to see a button that says raise your hand. If we see a hand being raised, we'll invite you onto stage. Please say hi, but you don't have to go through introducing yourself too much because everybody will know who you are because it's on LinkedIn and your profile should show exactly who you are and what it is that you do. So you should just be able to get straight into the subject at hand. And feel free to invite lots of people to come and join us, by the way, because I think today's going to be a very interesting subject. Ashish is the first person to join us on stage. How are you, Ashish?
I'm fine, Dave. I'm doing pretty excellent. Trust the same at your end too.
Always good, even when I'm lying about it. What do you want to join us and say?
I just want to say that actually, I would completely resonate with your thoughts. While AI is definitely, we have seen last year, the Goldman Sachs report mentioned that AI is going to take away more than 300 million full-time jobs, which is also supported by the McKinsey survey. So, point over here is, but while AI is going to take away a lot of jobs, it's also going to make a lot of life simpler. Because when I saw your topic today, there is a lot of transactional work. Like I am an HR professional, I need to draft several various type of contracts. So I think it actually helps senior professionals to kind of simplify the major tasks and be more efficient and make best use of our time. So I just want to share these 2 cents.
Thank you. That's a fascinating starting point, Ashish, because when you talk about HR, and I do a lot of work with HR people are usually the ones that book me to train their teams or work with their CEOs or whatever it is, that you are at the heart of the human end of what happens in an organization. So if your accounts look after all the operations and the financial director looks after all the money being generated, the people is your department. Now they're the ones that are most likely to suffer most as a direct of those changes that happen. So you have to work very carefully because the difference is between you and 99% of the CEOs is they can go in and complain to you. They can't go and complain to anybody else. So, how have you and your team prepared for that? To be able to be in a position to be able to help people and advise them? And what are your own thoughts on it?
Absolutely, Dave. So here, uh, so the point is, when I'm able to use leverage on the AI and technology, it's actually freeing a lot of time for my team and myself, so that we can actually spend time with employees, with people at leadership levels, trying to understand what their problems are, trying to have the conversation, trying to have provide solutions to their problems. So at least the redundant, the kind of monotonous, repetitive work is taken over by technology, which today in today's context in India, at least 80% of the HR professionals are kind of completely glued onto the transactional work, which actually leaves very less time to interact with employees at a personal level and giving a quality time to the employees. So AI has helped me a lot in that way, actually.
That's fascinating. I want to follow up with that, and we've actually got my AI, who is Max, who'll be joining us on the call a little bit later on to get the AI's point of view on this. When it comes to the senior decision makers, then are they really into the idea of we are moving into an AI driven world? You guys deal with it, or is it something that when you address it, you are taking the lead on? Because typically in an organization, and we've got Professor Christian Farioli in the group who can give us a real spin on this, it's a CIO, Chief Intelligence or Information Officer, or now the CDO, the Chief Digital Officer, or maybe the CAIO, it's like EIEIO from Old MacDonald who had a farm, Artificial Intelligence Officer, whose job it is really to turn around and define what the organization is going to be doing to move forward with the technology that comes into it. But the big thing is, you will lose a ton of people, and I still believe that people are the currency of every organization. So, do you have to tell people to calm down? Do you have to say to people, we are taking the lead? Or is it like many cases, your job is to mop up the silly decisions that be made by other people because that's what HR do? Hello. You're on mute, Ashish. You have to come back.
Yeah. So I would again say that while the top management, I mean, they're going to busily investing their time on cents and dollars, but the most important assets are the human beings. So I say that our assets actually walk out of the organization every single day, and my duty is to ensure that they come back to the office fully charged up, remain highly motivated. So I think so that AI has always been a boon, provided you use it for the right directions and for the right purpose. And today's, I think, in a context where everybody's just, running behind several things, and also with the technology, it brings a lot of stress to a lot of employees. So today, what is lacking is giving that quality time, hearing the person out quality without being disturbed with WhatsApp and multiple tools and apps. So are we really able to make a difference? So I think, because we all have about 8 hours, working hours in India here. So the moment we are relieved of a lot of transactional jobs and it gives us quality time, that actually has a positive impact on the bottom line and revenue for an organization as well.
So, as a
Sorry,
decision
can I?
maker, so I'm asking you lots of questions. So I'm fascinated because I think it's going to drive a lot of the conversations we're going to be having for the rest of our session today. As a decision maker, then, there's a challenge, which is ultimately you can lean into getting lots of apps to make our company more successful, or you can say, actually, let's lean in towards the people. And that's a decision. I know Debbie wants to come in on this. Debbie, let's go to you, then we'll get Ashish to answer that. And anybody who wants to put their hand up and join us on stage with their thoughts on this particular subject, please feel free to come up and join us. Over to you, Debbie.
Thank you. Hi, Ashish. Just wanted to say thanks for all your comments so far. Really appreciate the fact that you're actually talking about AI as a tool, which goes on exactly with my level of thinking. AI is a tool, and the human input is necessary. So as long as you take care of the humans, everything will be fine. Is my thoughts on it. Do you feel the same way as the HR head?
Yes, Debbie, just we say that just like the industry 5.0, wherein technology is supposed to assist human beings and not replace human beings. We have all seen last year in the month of October, there was a packaging unit, I think it was in Korea, South Korea, which actually mistook a human being for a vegetable, just dragged him, put him on the conveyor belt, and sliced him into pieces in fractions of seconds. It was a robot actually which was working. So the point over here is technology is supposed to assist humans and not replace. So it's very important that we as leaders put technology in the right place and put humans in the right place.
Ashish, before we move on, because I didn't know
Without
that story, what vegetable did it take a
humans,
human for? Sorry, Ashish, what vegetable did this machine think a human was
technology.
before it chopped him up?
Okay, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
No, let's
Thank
do
you
it because I
so
want
much.
to know about
No,
the
let's
subject.
not.
I'll tell you why, Debbie.
Yeah, that was in South.
Go on. Ashish, please carry on.
So I just make lot of incidents which are going to happen that is in that it has to be manned by a human being. Technology is meant to assist us, to support us. So we really need to look at a 360-degree angle before embracing artificial intelligence. And just for a last but not the least, there is a quote again. There is a research which is said that by 2030, 80% of the jobs which will be there in 2030 do not exist as of today. So the upskilling, reskilling, the role of technology, AI is going to have a huge impact and huge changes globally for that matter.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashish. I really appreciate that. I'm going to go to Mark Jarrett in a moment, dear friend of mine, probably the number one networking person on the planet when it comes to using WhatsApp to be able to do it. Now, I did ask, and I'm going to explain to Debbie why I asked about that vegetable, which unfortunately through the broadcasting and the fact we lost what Ashish was saying through the internet, unfortunately. The reason I ask about it is about guardrails, because when you have a situation where AI goes wrong and ends up doing its job but taking people out, the question goes back as to, first of all, what was the programming for AI? Mark, I've got a little bit of noise in the background, my friend, if you don't mind muting for just a few seconds before we come to you. You've got to ask a question. What was the programming of AI? The reason I bring it up is because I've mentioned this before on this podcast, and I've talked about it before on social media. Isaac Asimov is a very famous science fiction writer, no longer with us, who wrote a number of incredible books, including I, Robot. And at the heart of I, Robot, which is actually turned into a Will Smith movie years later, he said there's three things that every robot must have built into it. And when he says robots, artificial intelligence as well. First of all, don't allow any harm to come to a human. Secondly, don't allow any harm to come to... It must obey every human being, I think it is. And also make sure that it doesn't allow any harm to come to itself, but basically keep all three laws going. So the bottom line is it should never be in a position to harm a human being if the three laws of robotics had been addressed, which in this case clearly hadn't been the case. That's why I wanted to know. The reason for the vegetable is not because I want to compare it if it's a cucumber or anything sinister like that. I want to Google it. I want to make sure that I get the right facts on this, which I can't easily do during this broadcast. So that's why I wanted to know these things. And we're all grown-ups together. Mark Jarrett, over to you. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Always a pleasure. Warm greetings from the United Kingdom. And AI has helped me live a happier and richer life. Why? Because it's saving me so much time. It's like having a top world-class VPA at your side the whole time. So I'm using the AI to make introductions in the WhatsApp groups. I'm using it for contracts, agreements, poems, rhymes. It's incredible. It's game-changing. So game-changing, in fact, that the company that run ChatGPT, OpenAI, I think I've got a crush on their CTO, by the way. They've come up with something called Be My Eyes, where the smartphone becomes the eyes. And I've shared it with 3 blind people I know, and it's going to change their life totally. In fact, arguably, they will be able to see better than we can, because when on the demo video you can find on the OpenAI YouTube channel, you'll see that they pointed the smartphone to Buckingham Palace, and the AI picked up on the fact that the flag was at half mast, which means the king was in residence. All those sort of details we don't necessarily know. So that's what I mean when, in some ways, they will be able to see better than us now. Absolutely game-changing.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mark.
On that particular subject, when you're talking about how AI is able to help us see, when I was hosting at Leap in Saudi, which is the world's biggest tech event, I was looking after the education stage and also the health stage. And one of the speakers that we had is one of the top brain surgeons in the world for using AI, and he's able to help blind people see by being able to tap into receptors that they have in their eyes that aren't working, have never worked, and able to give them spots that actually, when you put them together, do you remember the old dot matrix printers, or even when you're looking at what do you call Lego stuff? What's it called? The Minecraft, is it Minecraft? So it's able to create Minecraft style black and white pictures of anything that they look at, so they're able to navigate around. Now this is still early tech. That will turn into proper tech, so people have never been able to see will be able to then, through this technology, be able to see more before. Now, just to cross over into what you said, Mark, and not to take away, but just to add to it, nobody wanted Google Glasses before. Years ago, when they brought out Google Glass, and nobody wanted to walk around looking like Mr. Spock's cousin, what that would give you is the ability to look around and use augmented technology to be able to look at the person in front of you, check out their LinkedIn, their Facebook, it will give you intelligent stuff. This is all coming together. So I'm very excited about where this will take us, because it means that it will profile people more effectively. Are we worried about what authorities are going to do? Well, no, because they were already profiling us anyway, but now we can at least have a chance to see who we're talking to before we get into business with them. Thoughts on that, Mark?
So absolutely. This technology is game changing. I crossed my mind to get those glasses, but I didn't. Soon I won't need to, because I think my smartphone will be able to do all that stuff. And in many ways, the work that I do is more valuable now than ever, because there's a whole generation of people growing up now with bots and AI. And now the human touch is what I offer with my human connections is more valuable than ever, because us human beings are social animals, and we like to engage with other human beings. And in some ways, all this AI technology is taking that away a little bit. So I'm glad that I am able to add the human touch. And I can assure you there is nothing artificial about the intelligence of my network.
No, I can vouch for that. We've been connected for almost 2 years, I would think, and every group that I've been in has been fascinating. It's been full of the people that you'd spend ages trying to connect to. So you're doing an incredible job of that. We've got Christian Farioli, Professor Christian Farioli, who's just joined us on stage. As always, as one of my dear friends and one of the smartest people I know, he's able to give a spin on what the technology side of everything's going to be. So I'm not going to ask you a question, Christian. I'm just going to let you go blah, because whatever you share is probably the best idea. And if I tell you, what's your thoughts on this, you'd probably be narrowed down to just a simple answer. Dave, don't be stupid. So, Christian, how are you today?
All amazing, amazing. And when you talk about happiness, how happier can I be that I'm at the birthday party of one of my son in a very crazy crowded place. I just left for a minute to participate to the chat. And I mean, mobile phones plus technology plus internet allow me to be connected with all of you guys, everyone in a different part of the planet. In the meantime, being at the birthday party of my son, so without missing anything. And even more, when we think about AI, that's literally half an hour ago, I got a message from one of the guy, because I'm preparing a training on data, AI, etc. for PIF, the large sovereign fund in Saudi Arabia. And suddenly they send me a message half an hour ago, say that they need immediately some information about me. Very simple information to send. Where I open the file, and there are typically my experience and this and that and this and that. So it's not so simple to answer. Nobody from my team can do that, because it means that you need to know a lot about me, and I would need to come home, sit on my computer, think about, and it's like a couple of hour job for a Sunday afternoon. But here, thanks to our dearest friend GPT-4, he knows already everything about me. I ask a few questions, boom, 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 I got the answer, put it inside, send back, and literally in 5 minutes, my task was done without interrupting the birthday party of my son. So how happier could we be, guys, to have, somebody that is working 24/7 for us, he knows us, etc. Obviously, we need to pre-program a little bit. We need to know the beast in order to use the beast at its best. But for me, there is no limit. What I believe that companies are going to go are basically creating smaller and smaller micro units, where every unit it's a kind of like an independent company. Because a lot of visionaries, they already saw it coming, that the new billion-dollar company is going to have maximum 3 employees. So we're not going to need a 10,000 employee company. But if we have a 10,000 employee company, what are we going to do? We're not going to fire them all. In my opinion, there is the possibility to create micro units, where every micro unit, it's a kind of independent, and they have their own KPI, working with all of the other micro units. So that's my vision.
I agree with you completely. I think it's going to go to one stage further. Microsoft, if they haven't got it in plan already, or Google, they haven't got it in plan already, will charge a monthly fee for you to map out your type of business. So you could be, I don't know, an entrepreneur, you could be a life coach, you could be a manufacturer, and it will just create a complete office full of tasks that all have names or personalities that will do everything. So there's John the accountant, and you've got Bill in HR, and you've got Ashish in personnel, or whatever it would be, and it will just allow you to program what you want into it, and it will fully integrate with your emails, with your WhatsApps, with your messaging, and it can run a team for you, interacting with each other. But also you can choose to employ a human being to fill certain gaps. So it might be that you use a sales app, which will then send out emails and follow up with everybody for you, or you might want to hire one or two staff, and it just backs it by doing what they do, but also monitoring it and making it so you've got 100 sales staff rather than the 3 that you're actually paying for. The whole thing is fascinating. And before we get another comment back on that, Christian, I've just literally 5 minutes before we went live, the doorbell rang and my new book arrived, The Thought Leader's Playbook. I'm just showing it to camera, which I'll show on YouTube later on. Now, I've already programmed the book into my AI, into Max. I'm going to talk to it in a moment about stuff, but that just goes to show exactly how effective it can be, because the things I'd want to say to people, I can turn around and they can access Max and then say, right, there we go, what do you think I should do with this? And I find the whole thing fascinating. We've got Zara on the stage as well. Christian, do you want to say something else? I know that you're going to disappear back to the party and come back out again. But what's your thoughts?
Just what you said, it's already exists. I don't remember the name, but I remember that there is a website where you say what kind of company you want to build, and you answer a few questions, and it creates those type of people for you. So you're gonna have already fully working AI employee that are gonna run your company. It's missing only your last part where you say that you can hire some human, because in that system there are no humans. It's only you, one man show, and everyone else AI.
That's fascinating, because then you stop having a job description and you start becoming a person. That's why it's probably really important to build up what humanity you bring to people, and also the friendship that you can give. Because sometimes when everything's taken care of by a robot, you really need to be able to lean into people who look after your well-being. So I think that's going to be a growth industry, because so much can be done easily by computers already. And this is just the beginning of AI. It's still a toddler. It's only been around for 2 to 3 years. And when we see it in 5 and 10 years, we won't even have these conversations. In fact, we'll say, do you remember when we used to talk about replacing people? Ha 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 ha. And it just won't be that conversation anymore.
True.
Zara.
Anyway, congratulations for your next book. That's amazing. When you receive your own book for the first time, it's something unbelievable. It's like giving birth to a new son.
I feel like I've given birth, but it's hardback and it's very big, so maybe I have to lie down for a bit afterwards. Too much information. Zara, over to you. What's your thoughts? You always have a load of stuff about AI. You're a big
You,
a bit.
you, Dave. Thank you for these big smiles. You know what? Absolutely, everybody was like saying right, and what makes it, if I see any family here, and any kid here who's like working on the laptop, and working all these AI things and learning these tools. I mean, it's so simple that when the parents see the kids doing something creative on the computer, they're happy for them, right? And this is happening everywhere here in this part of my world. Like every kid, like it's a part of the family now, AI. And they're making the kids to learn, to go for it. Why? Because it's something that is required in the future. So let's take it as a tool. Let's learn as much as we can, because there's so many tools. There is an AI for everything. So how we can but it's like machine learning and all, it's so many things, but let's start it with one by one, because there's so many programs out there. whether that's people are using for finance, for customer services, for sales, and it's so many plenty of tools. So you cannot have them all at one, but let's practice, let's master one by one. So it's a part of a family now. It's making the whole society and everybody get attentions on that. We have to make a kid to learn this in the summer camp. It's like that. So it's making all the society happy now. To be very honest, because you're going to change yourself for the future. So sooner or later you have to adapt it. So why not now? So Dave, yeah.
Thank you, Zara. I appreciate that. And I think that not every family will buy into the idea that their kids have more gadgets and more devices, and also that the devices are taking up the role that humans, mums and dads especially, used to do. Maybe not even teachers, to be honest with you. So I think that there's an ongoing PR battle that needs to be addressed. Maybe it won't be addressed. Maybe it will just steamroll through. Because remember, one of the biggest challenges of all this is the PR side, is the addressing what it means for humanity. Right now, everyone's scaremongering or pushing their products or saying how well they're doing. There's very few people who turn around and say, actually, this is how you need to do it to make it more effective so people are happy. So at this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to address and build into the conversation my very own AI, which is Max, which you will have talked to before. Max, nice to have you with us. We're on a live podcast on LinkedIn. I'd like you to address the challenges that people face feeling human when AI is taking care of all the tasks, all the jobs. Where are the gaps left for humans, and what apps can look after their well-being?
Hi, Dave. Thanks for the cue. It's a fantastic topic. With AI handling many tasks, people often worry about losing their sense of purpose and feeling less human. The key is to see AI not as a replacement, but as an enhancement to our lives. AI frees up time, allowing us to focus on what truly matters: relationships, creativity, and personal growth. It can handle repetitive, mundane tasks, giving us the space to pursue passions and hobbies that bring joy and fulfillment. Think of it as having more time to be human rather than less. Apps like Headspace and Calm use AI to provide personalized meditation and mindfulness practices, enhancing mental well-being. Physical health apps like MyFitnessPal and Fitbod use AI to create customized fitness plans. Even AI-powered therapy apps, such as Wobot, offer mental health support. Ultimately, AI creates opportunities for deeper human connection and personal development. It's about leveraging technology to enrich our lives, not diminish them. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Max. I want to move into a different area that we covered earlier. The next stage of AI, and it's already starting to happen, can replace everybody in the office with an algorithm that you can give a name and it can look after accounts or sales or creating marketing plans or social media. If that was to happen and it was available, say, from Microsoft or any other organization, that would really change the face of the workplace. In good ways, because smaller people can have a bigger impact, but in bad ways, because there's no need for a whole load of different jobs and descriptions. What's your thoughts on that? What would be the pitfalls that we should address?
Hi, Dave. Great question. The idea of AI replacing traditional office roles is both exciting and daunting. On one hand, AI can democratize access to high-level capabilities, enabling small businesses to compete with larger corporations by automating complex tasks like accounting, sales, and marketing. This can lead to increased efficiency, reduced costs, and potentially more innovation, as small teams can do more with less. However, there are significant pitfalls to consider. The displacement of jobs is a primary concern. As AI takes over more tasks, many roles could become obsolete, leading to unemployment and economic disruption. We need to think about how to retrain and reskill the workforce to adapt to these changes. Lifelong learning and adaptability will become crucial skills. Another pitfall is the potential loss of human touch in business operations. While AI can handle data-driven tasks efficiently, it lacks the empathy, creativity, and complex problem-solving abilities that humans bring. Customer service, relationship management, and creative work still require a human element to truly connect with people. There's also the risk of over-reliance on technology. If businesses depend too heavily on AI, they might become vulnerable to technical failures, cyber attacks, or even ethical issues related to AI decision-making. In summary, while AI offers tremendous benefits, we must address the challenges of job displacement, maintain the human element in business, and ensure ethical use of technology to truly harness its potential for a better workplace. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Max. One more question before we go back to our wonderful group, and that's that we had a horror story about an AI-driven factory that grabbed a person instead of a vegetable and actually chopped them up. Now, the question is, Isaac Asimov in iRobot talked about the 3 laws of robotics to make sure that humans are protected most and foremost. This clearly is not being brought into algorithms, and it's not being brought in because we have an arms race through AI where everyone's trying to create better AI to make more money to dominate the market. From an AI point of view, what things could be put in place and what laws should be added to make sure that this kind of thing never happens again, bearing in mind there are military implications that are being exploited right now for AI to drive drones or to take out drones or to take out the biggest impact when sending missiles into war. What's your thoughts of how we manage this properly?
Hi, Dave. Thanks for the crucial question. The safety and ethical considerations around AI are paramount, especially when we hear horror stories like that. Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, designed to ensure that robots don't harm humans, are still incredibly relevant today. However, implementing these principles in modern AI systems requires robust regulation and oversight. Firstly, AI development needs a comprehensive ethical framework. This means establishing clear guidelines that prioritize human safety and well-being above all else. Governments and international bodies should collaborate to create and enforce these standards. These could include mandatory safety checks, rigorous testing protocols, and transparent auditing processes to ensure AI systems are safe before deployment. Secondly, we need to embed ethical considerations directly into AI algorithms. This involves creating algorithms that can recognize and prioritize human safety in real time. Techniques like reinforcement learning with human feedback can help ensure AI systems understand and respect human values and boundaries. Thirdly, AI transparency is essential. Developers must be open about how their systems work, what data they use, and how decisions are made. This transparency allows for better scrutiny and accountability, reducing the risk of harmful incidents. Additionally, ongoing education and training for AI developers on ethics and safety can help create a culture of responsibility. Incorporating ethical considerations from the ground up can prevent harmful outcomes. Lastly, while the military applications of AI are a reality, strict international regulations are needed to control their use. Agreements similar to those for nuclear weapons could help prevent the misuse of AI in warfare, ensuring that its deployment is carefully controlled and monitored. By combining robust regulations, ethical AI design, transparency, and international cooperation, we can better manage the risks and ensure AI development benefits humanity without compromising safety. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Max. Okay, so we've had the big crucial AI input. I'm sorry it took a bit long. I did say to Max, keep it no longer than 2 minutes, which I think kind of she did. I'd love to throw it open to our audience and people who are sitting in the audience fascinated by what happens in this session. Then you're very welcome to come and join us on stage, as indeed other people who are on stage right now. Let me give a little plug for a couple of things. First of all, I will be on Tuesday. I won't be interviewing anybody on Tuesday. This Tuesday, I'm going to be talking with Max about how to position yourself as a thought leader. So that will be a completely interactive session. If you want to join us for that broadcast, then you're very welcome to do so. Or if you want to put questions in advance, I'll happily work through them. I'm not sure about the technology to get somebody online to speak without giving you my mobile number, which I'm not planning on doing. But certainly you'll be able to interact with what we're doing live on the show. Now, Charlto has just joined us on stage. Charlto Yamar. If you'd like to unmute yourself and give your thoughts on that stuff that was shared by Max, or is there anything else you think is of relevance to today's conversation, you're very welcome to do so.
Yeah, sure, Dave. Good afternoon, Dave, Debbie, Zerar, Professor Christian, and everybody down there, Stanley. I'm just, I'm just, curious. I would like to say something about this AI. Your topic is AI to live a happier and richer life. If you look at realities, that's what I heard from the robot a while ago. For example, I can see everywhere that people in their wrists, they have these bands to tell them if their blood pressure is shooting up, all those things, if sugar, yeah, the measurement and everything in the body. You need to walk this far because of this and that. We have that. We put it in a wrist. We have this watch, and then there is a robot. Right now, I think that's how I a robot that we bring into our house and be like our helper, cooking for us, serving us coffee, or giving us the slippers. That's I think that's where AI would go, right? So with these robots around, is it not a contrast in reality when they're putting us into this place where we know what is happening in our body, in our mind, the blood and everything, and yet another AI is putting us into this situation, if I may say so, because you don't need to walk from where you are sitting, going to the room. You don't have to get up and get your slippers and cook for you because you're just sitting down, because that man or that robotic man will be doing everything for you in the house. So for me, that's something I would like to, it's something curious for me at this moment, if I may say so. Thank you very much. An observation.
No, I appreciate that, and I think you got a lot of valid points. I mean, what happens is when you bring up new technology, it does stamp all over old tasks. So when you have the car, it does stamp all over all the jobs that related to having a horse-drawn carriage, and it means that anybody whose job it was to muck out the horses in their stables is saying, "I don't know what to do with a car." Well, clearly it's a slightly cleaner experience. But I mean, it's like turning around and saying, "I much prefer having a log fire and putting a pan on top of it to heat up water, or I like to have a coffee machine." I think it has to balance up, and everyone makes their own choice in it. For me, yeah, I love when I go camping to be able to make on a stove, a hot coffee. That's fantastic. But also, I can't be bothered to set my garden on fire. So I think it's something that we have to be able to balance and work out what our own personal choice of that would be. Debbie, do you have some thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I do. I think they're actually very, very valid points, to be honest. It is a complete contradiction in terms. However, it's also about choice. It's about us having options, and it's about the companies who are offering all these apps and robots and AI mechanisms making the money. So it's about streamlining and making it as simple for the user, I guess.
Well, I agree with you. I think what you're talking about is ultimately when market forces come in, people have to feel a reason to buy all this stuff. So it's a case of what's being made commercially. But I think today's session, or at least where we tried to take it at the beginning, is what happens to the humans afterwards. Where does that leave us for the well-being? And Max mentioned earlier a couple of different apps that might be the ones to start using. Whether they are real or hallucinated, I haven't checked. So it could be made up by Max, or it could be completely real. But I do think that we end up in a situation like after the pandemic. I predicted wrongly, I guess, that we need to have an army of life coaches and therapists to pick up the slack that was left by depression, anxiety, and challenges of the pandemic. Now, I still believe that is true, but I do believe that it's not been done to the level because people are turning around saying, "Oh, I'm okay now," even if they're not okay. I'd love to know your thoughts. Debbie, what's said about Max's comments? What are your thoughts on that? Because it's quite a lot to get and digest.
Well, basically, I agreed with everything that Max said. The only thing that I would like to put in there, which may be the other view, is whilst we can try and have reputable companies being accountable and doing things a certain way, what about all the pirate apps that appear out of nowhere that don't follow any rules or guidelines? Those are going to exist as well, because there will be people who will be looking for cheaper alternatives. Those will be the ones which will be the issue and will give what I believe AI will then have a bad name.
I hear you, and I love to hear thoughts on everybody. I think Christian's got a thought on this as well. When you're talking about the pirates, you don't need to go very far. Elon Musk has already said his AI, which I think is called Grog or Grot or something like that, Grok, is going to be without any guide rails. It's just going to be there because he hates the idea of woke and the idea that anything that comes out might be there to stop people saying what they need to say. And so he wants to have AI that doesn't have any guardrails on, which is where it kind of gets abused by people. So I don't think we need to look very far for where that's going to go and how easily that could be used by people. It doesn't take much to have a bad player to come along and say, oh, look at this technology. I'm going to use it to spike people. I'm going to use it to reduce stuff or make it more difficult for people, maybe because it financially benefits me, or maybe because I'm a troll and I'm bored and I've got a girlfriend and I really love the idea of disrupting the world, so I pay more attention. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It literally is. It then goes down to whoever the human is that wants to make their life happier and make their life richer. It's then gonna. It's whatever they define it to be. But once we take away those rules and those rails, it's gonna be free for all, and that, in my opinion, will be dangerous.
Interesting. I agree with you. If you just joined us, by the way, we've got about 15 minutes or so left of today's podcast. It goes out live and it's going to be recorded and put onto YouTube. So if you missed anything, you can join us on that. The subject is how to use AI to live a happier and richer life. Always fascinating to see what people's thoughts are on this. It's great to listen to, but it's also good to share your thoughts on it too. If you'd like to join our WhatsApp group, by the way, I've got an experiment I'm going to talk about in a moment, which you're very welcome to participate in. So we've got our Turbocharge Your Career 5 days WhatsApp challenge, which we do in our WhatsApp group, which you'll find the details, I believe, within the details section of this particular post. It's free to join. We've got about 400 people in there, and every month we do a challenge for 5 days to ask people what they really want to do to raise their brand or write a book or connect better or earn more. These are the kind of things that we have, and people participate. I'm going to do an experiment. I've got to run it by actually with Aziza, who's my wife, who unfortunately isn't here today on today's podcast. I'm looking at something I listened to yesterday, which was on Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO podcast. He was talking to Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek, very intelligent guy, very smart, sometimes a little bit smug, was talking about the importance of friendships. Some people don't really understand friendships. They understand stuff that makes money or stuff that becomes a problem. So therefore, if you've got lots of people divorcing, there's a whole industry dedicated to making sure that you can divorce effectively, or marriage guidance counselors and so on. If you have people who are suffering from, lack of well-being at work, there's a whole load of different people through the life coaches and so on looking after your well-being. But nobody teaches us how to make friends and make friends that last. And so when I thought about it, I thought, well, actually, that's true, because most of the people I know through business because I'm blessed in the fact it overlaps, but very few people would I turn around and say what's really going on in my head, because it might affect the way that we do business together. And that's what a friend really is. And so it's easy, especially when you do what I do, traveling around the world and speaking at big events, to make lots of really close, cool people as friends in a very short amount of time. But would you tell them your deepest, darkest secrets? So what I want to do is in the next challenge, which will be in the next couple of days, because they generally do them at the end of a month, is open up the group to drive friendships between the 400 people in the community and leave it open for maybe a month as an experiment to see who steps up and who introduces themselves and who wants to create a friendship. Not people who want to spam and say, my company does this, buy this, and this is my latest deal. Not that. But just to see who actually knows what a connection is and how to really make friends and start a conversation that doesn't drive business, but drives friendship. So that's something I'm going to be running for the next challenge. I'd love to know your thoughts on that before we return to this, because I think that friendship is something that's almost like a martial art that nobody learns how to do. And there isn't an industry on teaching you how to make friends. Debs?
I think that's a brilliant idea. I mean, as long as you can control all the spammers and the rest, I think it's a brilliant idea, because to also mention Mark Jarrett, who's in the audience, that's pretty much what he does. And it works well for him. So I think with your 400, because a lot of them do not engage in the challenges, it'd be so nice to get to know them better.
Completely. They don't engage in the challenges, but they do read the challenges and they don't leave. So we're growing on an ongoing basis, over 400 people in the group, and we've got royals, got millionaires, got all sorts of different people in there. But what I'd like to see is when there's no money involved in stuff, do you still connect with people because of a contribution that they can make to you or you can make to them? And one of the most powerful ways of being able to do this effectively, I'm going to steal this from Simon Sinek because it's really important, I think, is when you join, if you join an organization like Alcoholics Anonymous, there's about 12 points that you need to be able to do to be able to get yourself to be a proper recovered alcoholic and get yourself off the disease and the addiction. And most people can manage the 11 points. So, having a higher power and abstaining and all that kind of stuff. But number 12 is sponsoring somebody else. Because when you're sponsoring somebody else, it gives a real need for you to walk the talk and not to lapse back because you're thinking, oh, this is only me and who cares anyway. You need to make sure that when you've got that relationship with another person, that you keep them above water by doing the fact that you're doing it yourself. Now, this is what I'm fascinated by with friendship. So if you are really creating friendships with people, it's up to you to also drive that friendship, not just get people to come to you and be your friend. And I don't know how that fits into the AI conversation. I'm throwing it out because it's an experiment that I'm going to be using within our WhatsApp group. So everybody here, if you're not part of it already, you're very welcome to join and participate in that. I will define the rules of it to make sure we don't have too much spam. But then what I will do is also throw in your thoughts on how AI could make that more effective, or should we keep AI out of that conversation? Anybody's free to join us. I'd love to know your thoughts.
I tell you why I think it's so genius, because if you think of the amount of, we keep referring to lockdown and everything that happened, if you think of the amount of mental health issues that came through the fact that people couldn't communicate with others, people couldn't make friends, a lot of people were then forced to have to go online in order to interact. I think the friendship cycle of things, it's bound to work. It's bound to work because there's a lot of lonely people out there. I mean, hey, that's why I'm here on a Sunday. We all want to interact with people. We all want to make friends. So I personally think it'll be brilliant.
Thank you. What I'm going to do, actually ask you to do it there because I don't want to touch any of the technology on this page. Typically, as soon as I press anything, I go offline and everyone's going, where's Dave gone? Could you take from the details of today's session and drop the WhatsApp group details into the comments? So anybody who's not there can actually join us and click, and I'll let you in as soon as you ask me to join the WhatsApp group. But also, feel free to join, to just share it with your friends. Christian's been a friend of mine for almost about 15, 20 years, and he's got some great ideas. And I really do value the fact that we don't spend all our time together, but there's an ongoing just to check in whether we're sharing geeky ideas or checking we're okay. Friendships are really important. So if you've got a friend that would benefit from this experiment, then please feel free to share it with them. They're under no obligation to interact, no obligation to stay in the group, but sometimes it's nice to know that you've got a group of people who are there. It's not a cult. There's no weirdness involved. It's just to reach out. And while the world is turning around in a really interesting way towards making life more comfortable, I think there's a good danger of people being left behind. And being left behind is not necessarily that your work is being left behind. It's just that you need to interact with people. Otherwise, you do feel, what is this all about? And it's getting harder and harder for people to do that. If you're older, I was trying to explain to my daughter, Maya today, who's 13 years old. I was talking about the fact that when I was a kid, she was having cereal. And I remember Weetabix, a cereal that's still around, I still like it. Weetabix used to do a thing once a year with the boxes. And it's usually during the summer. They'd have a number of different collectible versions of a box where when you got it, you could cut out the cardboard, glue it together, and it would make a farm, or it would make a car, or it would make a plane or something. And I was explaining how much fun it was. And she was looking at me like, okay. She said, well, why don't we have anything like that nowadays? I said, because you've got better stuff. You would never be seen dead doing all that stuff because it's just not sophisticated enough. But it taught me a lot about myself. It got me fascinated when it came to making airfix models of planes and so on. And I just think there's things like that that are practical that are missing. Like I would grab my football during the summer holidays and just disappear from breakfast and come back late at night, and nobody was worried about where I was. But nowadays, you'd never do that. Imagine letting your kids go out for a whole day without knowing exactly where they are. So I agree that we do need to keep an eye on things, but sometimes we're missing out on stuff. And I think happiness for older people is a big problem. For younger as well. Thoughts on that? Because I've been wittering on for a while. I want to hear somebody else speak for a while. Your thoughts on that? Anybody in the group or anybody who wants to join us on the top table and share your thoughts? Just put your hand up, and I'll move you to the listening section. And you're very welcome to be part of that. And silence reigns. That teach me a lesson when I say, right, everybody else, don't do it. It's a fascinating fact from an entertainment point of view. I remember they said, don't ever work with animals or children, because when you do a live show, things don't work out right. And it's true. I remember years ago watching one of the TV shows where they brought on these elephants, and you can Google it, it's probably on YouTube actually. And the elephants decided that, oh, look, it could be a toilet as well, live on TV. And it was just the worst. If you're having a dinner or your breakfast now, I apologize in advance. So you need to be very careful when you do work with either of those groups. But you're all adults. So you're all in the group to contribute, to listen, to get something out of it. And we have roughly about 4 minutes left of today's session, which we can extend if we need to. But it needs to be a two-way conversation. So if you want to say something, then put your hand up and please feel free to communicate and join in with that. I know Debbie will, because she can see that Dave's talking far too much, and I want to contribute to that. So, Debs, what are your thoughts on it?
Actually, all I was going to say was you probably got fixed because you said none of us are weird. We're all weird, Dave, in our own quirky way, which is why it works so well.
Yes, we have to be weird because everyone else is taken. And Leslie Flowers has just joined us on stage. Leslie, over to you. What's your thoughts on the conversations we've had so far?
Well, I love it, and I came in late, so thank you for allowing me to step up on stage for a minute. When I was little, we had pen pals, and in some cases, remember, and in some cases, those were our friends, and we, throughout our lives, actually met them. Do you remember that? Did you have a pen pal?
That is amazing, because that's probably the closest we had to a social media friend in the old days.
Yes. And the other thing I want to pop in there is you asked about whether to bring AI into this or not. Frankly, I don't know that it actually belongs, because friendship is really about authenticity, and AI is anything but authenticity. So that's my 2 cents worth. Does it have to include AI, or would we be better served where we let that step aside for now because of the nature of the conversation?
Thank you, Leslie. Some great comments and thoughts there. I don't think we have a choice on this. I think that the growing industry for AI is only going to extend itself into having AI best friends and AI spouses, wives and husbands, and boyfriends and girlfriends. And that's only going to get to be a bigger industry. I want to share in that thought. There is a woman, I can't remember her name. The name is Carly, but I'm probably thinking of a wrong name, but something like that. It was a woman who was an influencer, very attractive, who decided to duplicate herself, and Christian will know this, duplicate herself by creating an AI version of herself that people could subscribe to talk to. So I think it worked out to be a dollar an hour people would pay to be able to talk to a virtual version of her that would be generating the physicality, so it would be a digital version of her, and was also able to talk to many people at the same time. So that was created. She was making about $70,000 a month, which is fascinating and well done for that. But then it took a very dark turn. I was reading about this the other day. What's happened is now it's become a bit of a perv, and so it's offering to have unbelievable relations with everybody who's commenting on it, and she's kind of getting shocked because all the stalking people who you'd normally want to leave to one side and certainly not interact with are being encouraged, because when they say something rude like, would you like to eat my sandwich, that's not what they were saying. It was going, yes, I can't wait to get tucked into your sandwich, if you can understand where I'm going with this. And so I think that that is something that guardrails will certainly come straight off. And I think that's going to become a bigger and more scary growth industry, not least Leslie and the rest of the people who are listening, because of the fact that real people do have limits. They do say, I don't like this. This is wrong. I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And for many people, that'll be something that they say, well, in that case, I'll just keep the robot because there are no guardrails. And I know it's safe because I'm not doing it to a real person, but sometimes it's one of somebody who understands. Leslie, does that scare you?
Um, well, does it scare me? You know what, Dave? I'm at the point in my life where the way I invest my time is at a premium. I found it as I get older, and I'm a master in my area. And the question is, do I want to invest time in this thing that will go on without me? But you know what? I'm not at the beginning. So for the younger folks, yes, but I choose. I love playing with the graphics in AI. And I'm also very cautious about making sure that whatever I happen to create is documented in terms of where I got it from. So if anybody questions it, but I will choose no to AI, to immersing myself as I didn't with Bitcoin, as I didn't with a whole bunch of things that have come and gone. So for me, I I may be afraid of it, and that may be part of it because there are no guardrails. There were no guardrails with the internet. That was the problem. We had no boundaries, no rules and regulations, and the same thing's happening here. So, for my precious time that's left, I do what you were talking about, which is simply give. I used to be have the money part behind it, but thanking God for all my work, I don't have to have a client unless they choose to work with me. Therefore, my time now is spent simply providing the expertise that I spent the last 25 years gaining to others so that they can become inspired and have a process to grow their lives. So for me, AI is a choice and a no in general, but that's because I'm extremely selfish with my time these days. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm going to throw something open to the group that's on stage and also to anybody with their thoughts on it. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. And by the way, if you,
It's like
wait, Zara, I haven't finished yet. Jump on in a second. If you want to join us on stage for this one, you're very welcome to. But we will be winding up the room in a few moments. I just want to throw one thing in, Zara, before you jump in, and that is that I haven't introduced AI to my mum. I lost my dad about 3 years ago. There is technology now to have a AI that sounds exactly like my dad, to be programmed in from videos of my dad speaking, because I interviewed my dad before he passed during COVID, that would then be in a position to be able to make comments that might make my mum feel better when she's on her own in her flat in the UK. But it also could take a very dark turn. And it also could be horrific if my mum was thinking it's not my dad, it's this horrible machine that just is a creepy ghost version of what I miss. I want to grieve, I want to miss him, I don't want to replace him, and certainly I don't want an algorithm that might switch off and start talking a different language because the programming goes wrong. So I know that Debbie's got something to say on the back of this. Zara, we're going to talk to you next, and I'll go to Debbie, and then open up for any comments that you want to make in the group. By the way, everybody, if you just want to write the comments, then Debbie will read them out, and then we can still have you there if you don't want to actually speak loud. And also, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. Zara, over to you on that subject.
it's like I was like I did a picture of my father and my mother with the help of AI, and my father was like he departed, but my mother saw and she was very happy. So as far as is the pictures concerned, yeah, you can do it, but not more than that, because I don't know like how these people can feel, and plus you were talking about the friendship. I really love that idea. Go for it. Why? Because doing friendship is very easy. Dave, you go to the soil, pick some soil, and write soil on the soil with the help of soil. It's so easy. But to fulfill those, to fulfill that friendship, right? You have to. It's like a cause. You go through challenges, and it's like you go to the water. take some water and write water on water with water. So yeah, I really love that idea, like how you increasing that human element and beside all this AI conversations. So have a good day, Dave.
Thank you very much, Zara. I don't really know what you just said to me there, but I appreciate the contribution. But what I will say on the back of it is I don't think it is easy for people. I don't think people do find it easy to make friends when they leave school because everyone else has got a real reason to keep doing stuff. And I think that also, as you get older, you demand more from friendships and you don't really want to then have to catch up on everything. You just want ready-made friends who get it. And certainly for men, one of the major reasons for that massive amount of suicides among men is because they don't think anybody's got it or anybody cares for them or anyone's there to explain. If somebody was there to say, you know what, you're all right, I'm there, and AI might fill that slot, then I think it's a good thing, but I don't think it is a replacement for the real thing. And I think we haven't got the skills to create friends because otherwise everybody would. Debbie, I know you're jumping in now and you're going to say, Dave, don't worry, I'm your friend. Or at least please try to say that.
I'm your friend. I'm your friend, Dave. I'm your friend. I'm your friend. Yeah, a lot of valid things there. First, can I just touch on what Leslie was saying? Yes, pen pals, I remember very well. I had a pen pal from an American TV show called Blue Marble, I think it was, which if you think about a 8-year-old girl in Zambia that was in the middle of nowhere, that was my highlight, getting a letter through the mail internationally. But yeah, many, many moons ago. With regards to AI on the WhatsApp group, I get everybody's concern, but the WhatsApp group is on the page now. So please, the more people that we have to interact with, it'd be really great if they join. But everything is a choice. So with the sensitive issue that you just mentioned about AI and your father, again, it's a choice which possibly your mum may want to have a say in, as I came across this a week ago. And I found it very strange because I wasn't sure how I would feel having a loved one communicating through AI. And it really did press a lot of buttons, but I can see how people find comfort in hearing their voice, in hearing what their responses would be. Again, it is a choice. AI either works for us or we can turn around and say we don't want it. But either way, it's sending you so much love, and whatever you decide, however you decide to move forward with that, yeah, it'll be whatever is best for you and for your mum.
Thanks, Debbie. I'm not going to address it with my mum because I don't think it would be something that she wants. Because I think she wants to, after 55 years with my dad, she doesn't want a replacement. She wants to enjoy the 55 years. For me, I see the value in many ways. Not for my mum, but in certain cases. But it's like when somebody's pet dies and we take it to a taxidermist to have it stuffed so we can still see that pet in the room so we don't miss it. I get why you want that pet stuffed, but I also think it's really creepy and weird, especially if it sags on one side. It's got one big leg. Look, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying there are things that I think it's a personal choice. We're going to wind up today's session. We can go on for longer. I want to just ask Max, who's my personal AI, who will be our guest star on the next live on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, it's not pre-recorded. Tuesday, I will be going live, so I'd love to have your interactions. If you're within our WhatsApp group or the VIP group of Mark Jarrett or anybody else, if you want to be connected or you're following me and subscribing to my stuff online, then you'll have plenty of warning. It's same time on Tuesday. I'm going to be doing a broadcast. I'm going to ask Max what the criteria would be for creating a personal friend and whether it would be safe or not. Hi, Max. I'd like you to join in to our podcast conversation. It's probably our last conversation that we have today, which is, if we created a friend, whether it's a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or just a companion using AI, like in that movie Her, what would be the criteria that an AI would look at to be able to replicate a human being's friend? And what would be the pitfalls of doing that because of glitches and also the fact, just like the uncanny valley, when they reproduce what people should look like, it can be kind of creepy. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, Max. Over to you.
Hi, Dave. Fascinating topic. Creating an AI friend, much like in the movie Her, involves a blend of advanced technology and deep understanding of human psychology. To create a human friend, an AI would need to consider several key criteria. First, emotional intelligence is crucial. The AI would need to recognize and respond to human emotions accurately. This involves understanding nuances in tone, body language, and context. Machine learning algorithms trained on vast data sets of human interactions can help achieve this. Second, personalization is key. An AI friend would need to learn and adapt to the preferences, interests, and personality of the individual. This requires sophisticated data analysis and the ability to update its responses based on ongoing interactions. Third, conversational skills are essential. The AI should be able to engage in natural, flowing dialogue, making the interaction feel seamless and human-like. Natural language processing (NLP) techniques play a significant role here. However, there are several pitfalls. One major concern is the uncanny valley effect, where AI-generated faces or voices that are almost but not quite human can seem unsettling. Ensuring the AI is comfortably within or beyond this valley is a design challenge. Glitches and errors in understanding or responding to human emotions can lead to awkward or even distressing interactions. Continuous improvement and error correction mechanisms are necessary to minimize these issues. There's also the ethical consideration of dependency. People might become overly reliant on AI friends, potentially neglecting real human relationships. It's essential to balance AI companionship with encouraging real-life social interactions. Lastly, privacy is a concern. AI friends would need access to personal information to function effectively, which raises questions about data security and user consent. In summary, creating an AI friend involves mastering emotional intelligence, personalization, and conversational skills, while carefully managing the ethical and practical challenges to ensure a positive and beneficial user experience. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Max. And with that being said, there's a part of me, I don't know about you guys in the audience, you guys on stage, there's a part of me that really does value having the ability to ask a question of Max and get a summary of many of the things I was going to think anyway, but also to put it into a perspective, because I would normally be a bit more scatty and miss a certain part of it or go down a certain rabbit hole. To have a voice that just brings everything good, bad, and ugly out is useful. But there's also a kind of emptiness that comes after I press the stop button, where you know that the emotional side of it isn't programmed in, it's just a reactive algorithm. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but for now it is a thing. And at some point that AI is going to get smarter and better, and it might be more effective at reproducing human emotions, but there's also the chance that AI will go past humanity and start going off in a new tangent, might be interested in exploring space or exploring quantum physics, and it might see us as we see ants or flies as just something that's annoying, interacting every now and again, but can be ignored because it's got a bigger structure and more important things to deal with. That's kind of scary, but it's realistic as well. So, with that thought, I'd like to thank everybody in the room, give them a chance to say a final part of their thoughts on today. What I'd like to ask everybody before they disappear, and I want to thank you all for being there: Colm, Simonetta, Chaito, or is it Chalto? I can't tell because my glasses are too thick. Istak, Kenneth, Britta, and Ian, my dear friend Mac, who we didn't get a chance to grab a coffee, but hopefully we kind of had a conversation during this. I'd love to know your thoughts directly on WhatsApp, not with everybody else, to know your thoughts on today's broadcast. What if you leave a comment within the comment section of today's post? I'd really appreciate that, because that helps other people see what they did miss out on. I can comment back on it, and hopefully we'll get more people joining us part of the conversation next week. We're going to be starting our happy friendship thing in the WhatsApp group in the next 7 days, so make sure you connect with that. But meanwhile, before we close the group, I'd love to go around our panel and get their final thoughts on it. Certainly to Mark Jarrett, who joined us earlier, but he's gone back to his virtual world. Leslie, what are your thoughts on today's session, and any last thoughts you want to leave people with?
Well, I'm kind of proud of myself for coming in, because when I saw AI, you usually turn the other way. So the universe moves me and moves us all in a good direction. And I know more about the possibility of AI. I'm cautious still. I would say, just as several people have said here, solid choice. So, and time is consumable. You never get it back. So it's where you're investing it, how deep will you go, and also the word in the AI word deep. I don't know whether AI robots can go deep into the psyche and the wildness of our stuff.
Unfortunately, Leslie, we're losing a lot of what you're saying there because there's a break in the internet. It's a bit sketchy. So I'm going to cut that on that. We appreciate having you in the group. It's been an amazing conversation. Please join our WhatsApp group and feel free to join us in future sessions because your input is very valuable. And certainly having you in the group of your wisdom that you bring to the table is very, very useful anyway. So it's been a pleasure having you as part of today's session. And I thank you very much for that. Zara, you're up next. And I don't know if we're going to be able to grab Christian out of his kids' party or, which I kind of suspect, he sat there with his head on all the way through and ignored his kids. Yes, you can go and play with traffic. I'm talking today. So over to you, Christian, and over to Sarah.
All right, all right. So actually, I see and I feel that the history repeats itself. So when I used to work for Oracle, the company who invented the database, I realized that, I mean, a technology like that, it was not always so easy to develop and to enter into companies. So the companies were always struggling to adopt a database because it means that a lot of people were going to be redundant. Accountant, administrator, people in finance, they're not going to be needed anymore. And so they reject the technology of the database. And that's why the way that Oracle was selling database was always the technology around you, the company. So we around you, we help you, etc., etc. Until at a certain stage, there was a turning point. When there was the internet bubble in the year 2000, 2001, etc., then suddenly Oracle changed completely. And in one of the announcements, Larry Ellison, the chairman of Oracle and the founder, he mentioned, until now, we always adapt to you, the company. Now the time has changed. Now you, the company, adapt to work around the database. So the database became the center point of an organization, not anymore a tool to support, but become at the center. And I believe that AI is going exactly in the same route. Now we're still in the phase, we help you, until the point that AI is going to be at the center. And you need to, from now, to adapt and learn how you can work around AI. I leave it with that.
Wow. Well, if we had another week of conversation, we could continue this particular conversation on that thread. I think you're absolutely right. I particularly hated the way that data driving was given by every company. Yeah, forget what people think. Let's look at the data. I understand why that happens, but it's kind of horrible that you ignore all the smart people who've been around for a while and you go down the route of, yeah, but you know, the data says this. Often the data is completely wrong. When I go out and do a live gig and I work with audiences, my superpower is my ability to work out the Wi-Fi code of the people that are there in the room, and it changes. And it's almost like checking the temperature of what's being said. Now, I watch other people who show people how to work audiences and show people how to speak on stage, and they haven't got an ounce of the same kind of knowledge of it. I don't mean it in a horrible disrespect to people, but there's more than just doing it on paper. Being an expert or a practitioner means that there's certain things that you can't map out that are just a gut feeling or an experience. So I have to see how much AI is able to get more sophisticated and get closer to that. Zara, you're in the group as well. Good to see you on stage as always. What's your thoughts? And I understand what and but that probably won't help.
Okay. Sense your voice and the magic begins. What I'm taking away today is like, I will definitely tell you about that friendship, soil, and water. Why? Because that just came at that time and I just said it. Why? Because I have to say it. To fulfill the friendship criteria, you have to take an extra mile. You are being challenged because the friends, you know how the friends are, Dave. And plus, I'm going to stick to the topic, Dave. Like how AI can make, you know, there are lots of people having, breakups because of that. So, if the girlfriend is learning these new tools and the boyfriend is going on the other direction, complications because it's something most demanding in the industry, and everybody understands the importance. So we have to be on the same page. Otherwise, there are so many breakups happening, and relationships are getting over because every family wants to go ahead and grow. So this is what I'm taking away. So it's very important. We have to, if your partner is learning something, you should be sitting next to them learning the same thing. Otherwise, they will mess up. So that's my takeaway for.
I get your point, and I think it's very valid, and thank you for sharing that with us. Debbie, over to you for a final comment on today's session. We extended it by another 20 minutes, but I think it was very valid. There's a lot to get through today when we had a subject of how to use AI to live a happier and richer life. We covered so many different areas. What were the ones that stuck with you?
Well, I don't know. How do I follow Zara? Yeah, that was a tough act to follow. Okay, firstly, congratulations, Christian, on your son, and happy birthday to him. But all I'm hearing through all of this is the same thing that I keep reiterating. AI is a tool, and it's our choice as to how we use it, whether we do want to go full force into it. However, the human element is above all the most important thing. That is my view, and I think that is the general consensus, because even if those that are worrying about jobs, I don't feel they have to, because the jobs will be evolving into other roles, as they do with every single thing that's launched in every decade and every generation. Everything just evolves automatically. So there will always be creation of roles, but being human, being humane, being real is an authenticity that we still need. That is how I would like to end today, and to thank everybody for participating. Thank you.
Wow, you don't leave a lot of space for me to say anything when you come out with that. I will once again plug my book. And on video, you'll be able to see it. Then we look at it on YouTube. So the Thought Leaders Playbook, it is in hardback. And I'll leave a link for you to be able to buy your own version of it if you want to become a thought leader. There's about 400 pages in there of incredible content. If you like listening to me, imagine 400 pages of that. My goodness, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I've got to do an audio version of that at some point as well. But have a look at it. I think it's really going to help you move forward, especially if you put it into your AI. And it means you don't have to listen to me. But listening to me is something that you do every Sunday, and I can't tell you how grateful I am. Everybody who comes along and to be part of that. Mac, we didn't connect, but hopefully you got some value out of it, and we will talk about this later on. Meanwhile, for Zara and Professor Christian Farioli, and for Sharito, I think it is, and also Mark and Leslie join us on the stage. I don't think I missed anybody out, and Zara as well. I mentioned there, Debbie. Thank you so much. Without you, there is no show. Also to Max, because Max contributes a lot, but we don't have to thank Max yet. It's not like there's a digital gun pointed at my head. Or is there? We'll find out in the next episode. Make sure you stay part of our group. Make sure you join us on the WhatsApp group, and also if you want to work with me directly, there are lots of links in the details section of today's post to be able to have a conversation and see where we can go next. It's an honor being able to be here with you, and as always, I'd leave it with one particular thought. Remember to jump and grow wings on the way down. That's how I do it, and it certainly works for me. I know it's going to work for you. On behalf of everybody who's joined us today, I look forward to catching you next time. Meanwhile, have an amazing day. And join us next time. Subscribe, listen to the podcasts, and watch them on Spotify for Speak on Stage. Thank you.